When did you first hear the voice of the Good Shepherd? When did you first hear it? Most of us heard it while in the arms of our mothers. For some, your mother sang songs of faith to you, or said bedtime prayers with you, and in those times you heard God speak through your mother. You heard, "Child, I love you." Or maybe it was your father. Maybe yours was a father who strongly led the prayers at mealtime, or sat next to you in church, and in his singing of the hymns, you heard God's voice, the shepherd. You heard the voice of the shepherd from your father. Or it could have been your grandma. Was she the one who was Jesus' voice for you? Who made sure you got to church? Who read those Bible stories to you? In those familiar voices, back then and now, you heard the shepherd call you to follow, and you became familiar with the voice of Christ. And so when you heard a stranger's voice try to call you some other place, it was just that. It was a strange voice, and you didn't listen. Because soon you could distinguish between a false God calling you, and you could distinguish that between the voice of the loving God who came to give you life and who came to give it to you abundantly. And so now, do our children and our friends who don't know Jesus, we ask, how did they hear the shepherd's voice? How will they hear about this amazing life that we receive from God? How will they hear about the abundant life that Jesus gives his sheep? Well, very simply, now it's your turn. This is your time. This is the time that you become the voice of the shepherd to those closest to you. They'll listen to your voice. They won't listen to the voice of some guy standing at an intersection calling out through a bullhorn about our sins. They won't pick up a religious book to try to find out if Christianity is real. They're very unlikely to listen to a stranger's voice calling them. But they will listen to you. And if they won't actually listen, like my children have been known to do, they will watch you. And they will recognize your words through your actions. They won't listen for the shepherd's voice unless they first hear it from you. Search Institute did a survey of people of faith to find out what had been the most significant influences in a person who grows up to have faith. Now, I've been influenced by a lot of ministries. And I was led to believe that those ministries were the things that were life-changing. And of course, I've been part of these ministries. We've supported here strongly the Ministry of Young Life, for example. And we are excited about the work that we have with children in Young Life. But it's interesting, in Search Institute's research, Bible camp was only the 8th most influential reason a person grows up to have faith. And some of these parachurch groups, they drop down farther on the reason that people grow up to have faith. I think Bible camp and some of these parachurch groups are a great way to grow deeper in a faith that is already there. And you won't be too surprised, but revivals and rallies ranked even lower than movie stars and music stars that talked about their faith in having influence on whether you or I have faith. Youth group leaders in church were 13th, a number that made me sad because I have been one. But the number one and number two reason people grow up to have faith, mom and dad. You're here because your moms and dads, I bet, Grandma and Grandpa came next. Other relatives and siblings were right underneath that. Faith is formed through trusted personal relationships. And as they say, faith is caught, not taught. So if you hope for your children or your grandchildren to have faith, or if you hope that your friends will come to the faith, you can't hope that somebody else is going to do that work on Christ's behalf. That's your work. Thinking that church alone is enough is interesting. How often are you here? How many hours a year do you think a child spends in worship or Sunday school together? Just think about that, hold that for a second. I was shocked to hear the statistic, okay? Most people spend 11 years of their life watching TV. You gotta think, is there anything on television that's worth 11 years of your life? Now throw the internet on that, you probably added a few thousand more years. But now think of this. If you went to church every Sunday and Sunday school every Sunday, not missing ever in 80 years, that's only 1 year of your life. 1 year. So compared to the 11 years you might spend in front of the TV, and have you hit church and Sunday school every week without fail? You can see there's got to be a lot more in order for you to grow up with a mature Christian faith. So as parents, as grandparents, and people who hope to influence our friends who don't have faith, we're not going to be able to pass that job on somebody else. Either we jump in and take on this call, or those we love are going to miss the thing that we all hold most important in our lives. The Good Shepherd, who lays down his very life for the sheep. You know, you might think that there's someone who can do this better than you can. That's actually where Sunday school came from. Parents said, let's just send them off to professionals to teach our kids, because we're not very good at it. We don't know exactly what we're talking about. But even with 4 years of seminary and years of ministry, I sometimes feel really inadequate for this job of passing on the faith to my kids. I've struggled with it. It's hard. You probably think you have doubts that make you think that you're not the one for this job. You know, you struggle for the right words. Or you might know your imperfections and think that they disqualify you from passing on the faith. You might think, well, I'll look like a hypocrite. I have those same thoughts and those same feelings when I'm working to pass on the faith with my children. But it really helps to read the stories in the Bible. That's kind of helpful, isn't it? To get clear on this. Every story is one that shows us that God chooses daily to work through people who are really inadequate, who have made huge mistakes that seem disqualified. And yet God uses them to be part of the sweep of all of the Christian story that we've all inherited. Because every family in the Bible is dysfunctional and bizarre. I mean, you should read it just to see that, because it's like, this is the Bible? But even our imperfect parents or friends nevertheless passed on the faith to us, right? And so you decidedly, imperfect parents or friends, we're going to miss the mark in some way. But don't miss the mark in giving your heart to sharing the faith with the people that you love. Let them know about the abundant life that comes from the Good Shepherd. More than anything in life, I want to hear the voice of the Good Shepherd. I want to hear him call me by name and lead me out. Isn't that what you want for yourselves too? I long that for my family too. Isn't that what you want for the people that you love? That they would get how cool it is to be in relationship to the God of all creation. Isn't that what you want for your kids, your parents, your neighbors? And if that's what you want, okay, this is really hard, but you need to be the voice of the Good Shepherd to them. Tell the story. Pray the prayers. Read the Bible. Join together in worship. And what is amazing is that when you pass on the faith, when you share the words of the Good Shepherd with those you love, you hear him call you by name as well, right in the doing of that sharing. And you experience and you know that he is leading you to green pastures, beside still waters, and that truly he is restoring your soul. And then you know that he came to give you life, and life abundantly. Amen.